Maybe. Hello, hello.
Good Monday morning.
We're laughing at the technology glitch there. So
I love it.
We do love it.
Yeah.
And we want to welcome you to the On the Rise blog live edition, our first blog of December.
Yeah. Happy December. Hope you guys had a good first weekend of December. And today we're getting into the questions that you guys messaged us and emailed us. So thank you for those. And we're excited to just jump right in.
Yeah, we'll jump right in. We had a lot of questions come in and a lot of overlapping themes.
Yeah.
So what we did was we picked 3 that I think would address most of the questions that came in, and we'll go from there. So the first question I wrote down was from Allie in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Allie.
Hi, Allie. And she asked, how do you make a tough decision?
That's a good one.
It is a good one. And it's something that we can all identify with because we've all had to make tough decisions before, and they're inevitable. Yeah. So they're going to happen to everybody. And I think a lot of times it becomes even a tougher decision because of the pressure we put on ourselves to make the decision immediately.
Yeah.
It's like we feel like we have to have this decision made and
the right decision.
I know.
Sometimes it's like we think it's going to have to be the right one.
Before when we have to make it right away. Yeah. And I think that's because we don't like feeling unsettled. So, we kind of play over those synopsises in our heads over and over again, and we feel unsettled until that decision is made. But give yourself grace and time to make the right decision. I'm not saying procrastinate making the decision. I'm just saying don't feel like you have to make it tonight. Most decisions do not have to be made immediately. Right. And so there's 3 questions or 3 things you can really think about when trying to make a decision, a tough one especially. Number 1, what are the outcomes that's going to happen in both sides of that coin? So instead of just playing that over in your head, ideas get bounced around in there, write it out. So write out, okay, option number 1, if I do this, this is the outcome. These are the pros and cons. Option 2, this is the outcome. These are the pros and cons. And then actually think about what your life will be like, what it will feel like, what the day-to-day will be like in both of those situations, because sometimes it becomes clear when you can put yourself into that as opposed to just wondering about the what ifs.
That's good.
The second thing to think about is what expectations are you managing? So are you making a decision based on other people's expectations of you or what you're going to look like? Or are you making a decision that's right for you and your life? Because absolutely, decisions that we make, they may end up impacting others, but we should not let the opinion of others impact the decisions that we make. That's really important to remember. And finally, and I think the most important, is ask yourself what your values are. What are your top 3 values? And then the decision that you're about to make, does it align with those values? That helps things become clear, because when we're clear on our values, decision-making becomes much easier. So taking the time to invest in yourself and really understanding your top 3 values makes things a lot less stressful.
Absolutely. Because when you make the decision that goes against those values, or we don't think about those values, a lot of times we know almost immediately that it just doesn't sit right.
It's not right.
And we don't know why it doesn't sit right. And it's usually because they don't align with our personal values. So,
and then kind of just to wrap that question up, I would say, just remember, most decisions aren't like your permanent decision forever and ever and ever. So things can change. It might just be a decision that you're making right now for this season of your life. But then the next thing to do is once you make that decision, own it. Be confident in that decision because you made it for the right reasons. And so you can feel very proud of that. And that just kind of reaffirms the decision you just made.
And remember that if that decision doesn't end up being the right decision, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you change it. You do something else. It's not failure. It's failure when you don't do anything, when you get stuck in that moment where you just don't do anything. So just trying something, even if it's not the right thing, there's nothing wrong with that.
I love that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I love that.
All right. Our second question comes from Tisha in the Buffalo, New York area.
Hi,
and she says, hi, Tisha. Suggestions for handling holiday stress. Oh, yes. Because this weekend I saw a sign that said there was like 22 days left to Christmas.
Yeah.
And the person I was with was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's the countdown. So it's now 21 days until Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 weeks. So handling holiday stress, because I think a lot of times we get in this idea of we have to have the holidays being perfect. Yeah. Perfect decorations and perfect baked cookies and the perfect gifts and the perfect gift wrapping. And I think we get so into that zone of it has to just be like picture perfect that we don't actually enjoy it. So really just taking the time to say, okay, what does this season mean to me? What does Christmas mean? Like, what is the true meaning behind why are we celebrating? And let that be your guide for what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because honestly, when you can think about what Christmas is and what it means, all the other stuff doesn't really matter all that much. And yes, we still want to enjoy the decorations, and honestly, Christmas decorations I could leave up all year long because
they make you happy.
Me happy. But really, when it comes down to it, our kids, yes, they make a list a mile long of the things that they want, but really they just want our time. They want to have those little traditions, whether it's driving around and seeing the Christmas lights and having hot cocoa and watching Christmas movies if you're in my house. So it's those little things that make the impact. They're not going to remember probably the gift that they got under the Christmas tree unless it's like that. I remember the first time I got Nintendo.
Yeah,
Nintendo was the only one. But it's those things that we put so much pressure on ourselves to make sure that everything is perfect. And really, if you can just take a step back and just be present in that moment, that is the present that you can give to other people, is your presence. And we can't be present if we are stressed out and worried about everything else around us. And I'm speaking to myself right now as much as I'm speaking to you guys, because I do like to have everything pretty and done. But
it's important to remember the real reason. The reason
for the season.
Absolutely. So that was a good question.
Yeah.
And then the last question that we're going to talk about today is from Jamie in Rochester, New York. And she asks, how do I increase my confidence? Oh, Jamie. That's not something we struggle with as women.
Yeah, it's everyone's question.
Right. I'm like, how do we, increase our confidence and stop talking negative to ourselves? And really, I think it starts with speaking the truth into our life and not believing the lies that we're telling ourselves. And often those lies become a habit, and then it's just this soundtrack that we repeat over and over again. And it's really not true. And then also, again, the things that we're telling ourselves, are they the important things? Are they our positive attributes? Probably not. Right. So it's really important to think you have the choice. When you have, it's not like you're not going to have negative thoughts. We're all going to have them. But when they pop up, that's when you have to make a decision. You have to take those thoughts, captive, that's the word. Sorry, I'm still drinking my coffee. Captive. And you have to ask yourself, all right, let me put this on trial. Is this really true? Is there truth? Like what actually can back this up with truth? Because most of the times those thoughts, they're not true. Right. They're just something that we are telling ourselves, and telling ourselves so much, again, it becomes a habit. So it's about creating new habits and replacing those thoughts with more positive ones. And that's going to help you kick off starting to build more confidence in your life.
Absolutely. And also think about, put those thoughts on trial, like Carrie was saying, but would you say that to your friend? Yeah. Like, would you, when you look in the mirror and the things that you're thinking or saying to yourself, would you turn to the person next to you and say that to your friend? Probably not. There's things that I can't even fathom talking even to my worst enemy. I couldn't even think about talking that way. But yet I talk to myself that way, and I'm not my worst enemy. You have to love yourself, and it's so hard to do that sometimes.
And you have to think about, yes, it's important to think about areas you want to improve upon and grow in, but don't let that be the only thing you're focused on. Right. Because you have to celebrate the other amazing parts of yourself. So, if you're feeling down about your looks right now, think about all the other parts of your life and who you are as a person that is honestly way more important than that when it really comes down to it. Easier said than done. I know. Yeah. I totally get it. But,
and if you have a hard time with it, ask one of your friends, what do you see in me? What positive things do you see in me? And sometimes it may feel weird because you're trying to get a compliment from someone, but you can even tell them, I'm really trying to work on my self-confidence. What is something that you see in me that I can start telling myself, even if you don't believe it yet? The more that you can tell yourself that, then you will start to believe that. And the other thing that I think will help increase our self-confidence, this helped me a little bit, is going for easy wins.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we'll have these big lofty goals, for example, weight loss or something like that, healthy eating and fitness and all this stuff around all the holiday cookies. When you can just give yourself an easy win, if I tell myself, I'm going to work out 5 days a week this week for an hour. Well, I know I just set myself up for failure because I know personally I'm not going to do it. It's not.
And if you're doing it, keep doing it.
I applaud you, and I'm very jealous, but that's not something I can do. But if I can start out and say, okay, I'm going to go for a walk every day this week for 15 minutes. Right. I know for me, I can do that. So that would be an easy win. Right. so that at the end of that day, I would say, oh, well, I worked on my health today. I did great. And then that will increase my confidence, which gives me more momentum to do it again. Absolutely. And then I can make that a bigger challenge. Okay, maybe next week I'll do a half an hour every day. And maybe the following week I'll do something different, whatever it is. But if you can give yourself in whatever area that you're working on, just a small, easy win, that will help increase your self-confidence, which then trickles into other areas of your life
and
too.
And celebrate the small win. Don't just say, okay, I'm setting, okay, I did it. Check it off the list. No, like say like, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Right.
Even when you don't feel like it, you just did it, which is, it's great. And small steps build momentum. So,
and accountability, I think, is huge. So I love our like Rise Tribe and the sisterhood and all of that, because it's a great way of being able to speak truth into other people too, because we know how important it is for other people to hear it, because if we're not hearing it, we're not speaking to ourselves that way. So even if you can just go out and tell somebody else how amazing they are, you'll usually feel better too. And then it's kind of, it will come around. So I love the group that we're starting here.
I love it too. I think there's a lot of good things happening. And we just want to say again, thank you for the questions. Keep them coming, because we can answer them in upcoming blogs that are coming up. We've got a lot on the agenda for you. It's going to be really, on the rise, right? It's going to be great. And we're going to end the year, make it a December to remember, and then kick off a brand new 2018 with some amazing things.
Yeah, we're excited. So we hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.